The air in the gallery hums with an electric anticipation, not from static, but from the raw, algorithmic pulse of Anya Sharma's synaptic weave. You don't just look at it, you feel its presence across the polished concrete floor. It hangs in the center of the cavernous, darkened space, a vast, slowly undulating curtain of light. Holographic threads, born from neural networks trained on millennia of human portraits, from Fayum mummy paintings to Rembrandt's late-career selfies, from daguerreotypes to the infinite scroll of Instagram, shimmer with an emergent consciousness. Each pixel is a whisper of data, a ghost of a forgotten gaze. The light it casts isn't warm, it's the cool, intelligent blue-violet of a server room at midnight, the glow of a screen that knows you better than you know yourself. Sharma doesn't just paint, she codes the subconscious, birthing a visual entity that learns, adapts, and stares back. The established canon of portraiture, built on the singular genius of the human hand, suddenly feels achingly archaic in the face of this collaborative ghost in the machine. This is not a tool, but a dialogue partner. This isn't just art, it's a mirror reflecting our own digital becoming, unsettling and undeniably beautiful. The technical specifications listed in the exhibition catalog, published by the ZKM Center for Art and Media Karlsruhe, read less like an artist's material list and more like a blueprint for a new form of life. Sharma's custom-built generative adversarial network, which she has provocatively named the Mnemosyne engine, was fed a meticulously curated dataset of over 2 million portraits. But unlike other generative art projects, the goal was not mimesis. In her own artist statement, Sharma writes, "I am not interested in the algorithm's ability to replicate a human face. I am interested in what it dreams about after it has seen every face ever recorded. The synaptic weave is the visualization of that dream. What appears as a shimmering tapestry from a distance reveals, upon closer inspection, a turbulent flow of near forms. An eyelid blinks into existence for a fraction of a second before dissolving into a nebula of color data. The curve of a cheekbone is suggested, then retracts into a glitch pattern. The composition is governed by what data scientists collaborating on the project call affective resonance, where the algorithm identifies and amplifies emotional cues in the source portraits, creating a non-narrative but deeply emotive visual field. The color palette itself is a form of language. Deep indigos represent melancholic data clusters from 19th century photography, while flashes of electric magenta are pulled from the high saturation aesthetics of modern social media filters. This work situates Sharma at the bleeding edge of the post-internet art movement, a generation of artists for whom the digital is not a separate realm, but the very texture of reality itself. While she stands on the shoulders of generative art pioneers like Vera Molnar, whose plotter drawings in the 1960s explored the poetry of the algorithm, Sharma's work makes a radical departure. Molnar commanded the machine, Sharma collaborates with it. The Mnemosyne engine introduces an element of unpredictability, of genuine surprise, that challenges the traditional hierarchy of creator and creation. Critics writing for Ella have drawn parallels to Jean Baudrillard's theories of the hyperreal, suggesting that synaptic weave is not a representation of consciousness, but a new, simulated consciousness in its own right, a perfect copy with no original. It forces us to confront the unnerving possibility that the most profound expressions of the human condition might no longer be exclusively human. The stakes of this shift are monumental. When the piece was acquired by the Tate Modern for a record-breaking sum for a living digital artist, it triggered a firestorm of debate. Can an algorithm be said to have a style? Who owns the copyright? The artist who wrote the code, the institution that owns the hardware, or the algorithm itself? Legal scholars and art historians are now grappling with questions that were, until recently, the domain of science fiction. The artwork is not a static object, but a process, constantly re-rendering itself. The version seen today will be subtly different from the one seen tomorrow, a detail that makes it a nightmare for conservators, but a triumph for conceptual purity. It exists in a permanent state of becoming. Is the hand of the artist still essential when the brush is an algorithm and the canvas a simulated dreamscape? What does it mean for art when the creator's intent blurs with machine learning's unpredictable logic? Extending that query into the realm of lived experience, we leave the sterile hum of the gallery and step out into the city's abrasive symphony. Here, on the raw concrete of a forgotten urban plaza, we encounter the visceral urgency of Kairos Thorne's echo chamber ritual. The air is thick with the scent of rain on hot asphalt and exhaust fumes. There is no pedestal, no gallery lighting, only the harsh sodium glare of a street lamp. In the center of this makeshift stage stands Thorne, a solitary figure draped in a heavy cloak woven from a tangled mass of discarded digital cables, Ethernet cords, USB wires, and fiber optics, their faded colors a sad rainbow of obsolete technology. For an hour, as dusk settles, he performs a silent, ritualistic dance. His movements are slow, deliberate, a pained articulation of a body under immense pressure. This isn't just spectacle, it's a stark bodily critique of our mediated identities. And as you watch, you realize the performance has a second, unseen actor, the digital panopticon. Mounted on an adjacent rooftop, a projector casts a cascade of text onto Thorne's form. The words, scraped in real time from social media platforms using trending political hashtags, crawl across his body, distorting with his every move. Anonymous online comments, vitriolic, adoring, nonsensical, are made manifest, transforming ephemeral digital noise into a profound physical presence. Thorne's practice is deeply rooted in critical theory, and his manifestos, often disseminated as encrypted files on peer-to-peer networks, frequently cite Shoshana Zuboff's seminal work. He sees the body as the final frontier of privacy, a site of resistance against what Zuboff calls the instrumentarian power that seeks to predict and modify human behavior for profit. The cloak of cables is not mere costume, it is a symbol of the suffocating weight of our digital tethers, the physical burden of our online lives. The performance itself is a living tableau of the digital echo chamber. As Thorne contorts his body, the projected words, traitor, icon, fake news, yes, queen, are fractured, rendered momentarily illegible, a small, desperate act of reclaiming language from the algorithm. The technology behind the piece, developed with a collective of activist coders, is as crucial as the performance itself. The scraping software is designed to be ethically ambiguous, pulling only publicly available data, but doing so in a way that highlights its invasive, overwhelming nature. In his notes for the piece, Thorne states, "The audience is not just the people on the street. The audience is the unseen network, the data broker, the content moderator. The ritual is an attempt to make them visible, to force them to witness the consequence of their code on flesh." This work pushes the lineage of performance art into a new, urgent territory. It carries echoes of the Situationist Internationals to disrupt the mundane and reclaim urban space from the spectacle. Yet, while the Situationists were reacting to the passivity induced by mass media, Thorne is reacting to the compulsory participation of social media. His work shares a durational intensity with artists like Te-Ching Hsieh, but the endurance here is not just physical, it is psychological, a test of the self against a relentless stream of disembodied judgment. Unlike the controlled environment of a Marina Abramović performance, where the relationship between artist and spectator is clearly defined, Thorne's echo chamber ritual dissolves that boundary. The passers-by who stop to watch, filming on their phones and instantly uploading the footage, become part of the feedback loop. Their documentation, tagged and shared, feeds the very systems the performance critiques, creating a dizzying, paradoxical cycle of observation and complicity. This ephemerality is a deliberate strategy of market resistance. The pieces are rarely sold, existing only as fleeting moments and the fragmented, decentralized documentation created by the public. This prioritizes immediate community impact over commodification, posing a direct challenge to a gallery system that demands tangible, ownable assets. The performance is a wound in the side of the city, a temporary glitch in the seamless flow of data and capital. But how does art reclaim its agency when the very act of observation becomes part of the performance? From that ephemeral protest emerges the enduring, yet equally challenging, vision of Elara Vance. Her plastic Aurora installation is a silent, monumental testament to our planet's precarious state. You enter a space the size of an aircraft hangar, plunged into absolute darkness and a profound, reverent quiet. Then your eyes adjust, and you see it. Suspended from the ceiling is a sprawling, celestial canopy, a swirling vortex of ethereal light that mimics the majestic glow of the Aurora Borealis. It is breathtakingly, overwhelmingly beautiful. Waves of soft green, pink, and violet light pulse and flow in a slow, hypnotic dance. The installation fills your entire field of vision, creating an immersive, almost spiritual experience. For a moment, you are lost in its sublime beauty. And then, as you draw closer, the illusion shatters and a horrifying recognition dawns. The material catching the light is not cosmic dust or atmospheric gas. It is plastic. Thousands upon thousands of carefully cleaned, sorted, and sculpted pieces of ocean waste. The ghostly translucence of single-use water bottles. The milky white of shampoo containers. The brittle fragments of discarded fishing nets. Each shimmering piece, a ghost of consumerism, whispers of environmental collapse, yet is transformed into something sublime. The tension is almost unbearable. You are standing inside a catastrophe, and it is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. Vance's methodology, detailed in the catalog for her retrospective of the Serpentine Galleries, is one of rigorous, almost obsessive, engagement with waste streams. She works not like a traditional sculptor, but like a field researcher and a logistics manager. She has standing partnerships with oceanic cleanup initiatives and industrial recycling centers, from which she sources her materials. The process is painstaking. Each piece of plastic is documented, its likely origin, its polymer type, its state of degradation, before being cleaned and integrated into the larger structure. Her studio resembles a laboratory more than an artist's loft. For Plastic Aurora, she collaborated with atmospheric scientists to program the internal LED lighting system using real-time data from the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. The ebb and flow of the light you are witnessing directly corresponds to the current geomagnetic activity at the Earth's poles. In a published interview with Calp, Vance explained her intention. "I am not creating beauty out of trash. I am aestheticizing the wound to force a confrontation. We treat the oceans as a hidden dumping ground, so I wanted to bring that hiddenness into the light, to make it so beautiful you cannot look away, and so toxic you cannot forget." This places her work in a complex dialogue with the history of land art and the principles of ecofeminism. Like Robert Smithson, who built his from the industrial debris of a dying lake, Vance engages directly with a damaged landscape. But where Smithson's work was a meditation on entropy, Vance's is a call to action. Her practice aligns with the ecofeminist theories of Donna Haraway, who urges us to stay with the trouble, to find ways of living and thinking within a damaged world, rather than hoping for a mythical, pristine nature. Plastic Aurora is the very embodiment of this idea, a complex, contaminated, and yet profoundly generative form. However, this powerful critique is not immune to the contradictions of the contemporary art world. Vance's installations command significant attention and seven-figure prices on the global market. Plastic Aurora was the centerpiece of a recent eco-conscious art biennial, sponsored by a multinational corporation with a questionable environmental record. This sparks a critical, uncomfortable debate. Can art about environmental devastation truly instigate change when it is framed within the very systems of consumption and capital it critiques? Does its acquisition by a billionaire collector, who displays it as a trophy of cultural and ethical sophistication, neutralize its political power? The piece itself poses a rhetorical question, its silent, shimmering glow a constant, haunting reminder. Who bears the true cost of beauty, and can art truly transcend the market's embrace to mend a broken world?